All right. Welcome to the Race Brain HYORX show. I'm your host, Matt Mason, and today I have a very special guest, a personal friend of mine. Some of you may know her as the fastest Italian HYORX woman alive. Other of you may know her as captain of Team Italy. If you have spent any time around HYORX whatsoever, though, you definitely know her name. She is one of the strongest athletes out there and may have the most mental toughness of any athlete on either side of the ball, so to speak. Today, I'm happy to announce we have Camilla Massa on the show. Camilla, how are you doing?
Thank you, Matt, for this intro. I'm gonna listen it again and again before a race, actually.
Hey, I'm just trying to make Luca proud. I hope that I hope I get a message later from Luca letting me know how proud he is of me. So,
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
yeah, I think first things first, I think we need to clear it up for everybody out there because names matter. Can you please it's Camila, not Camilla,
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, it's Camilla, so it depends you where you
Oh,
at.
I didn't even say it right, but I
Yeah, but
tried.
it's fine. You know, a fun story. When I started HYROX and I started to win some races, nobody knew me. Because I didn't do anything before HYROX. So they were calling me in any names but Camilla. So like Rebecca, Victoria, Ginevra, everything but Camilla. So if you said Camilla or Camilla, it's the same. It's fine.
Yeah. So actually, maybe we should start there because to your point, you had not done anything before High Rock. So I've actually never told you and Luca this story before, but I just remembered this. So this is actually really funny. So my very first High Rocks race was, or actually, it probably was the second. It probably was my second High Rocks race. It was Chicago, Navy Pier. I think it was 2023, and I stayed around to watch the women's pro races, and I'll never forget. In comes this tall, jacked Italian woman with a backwards hat and one of the most jacked Italian men I've ever seen in my life, just screaming at her while she's doing the wall balls. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know who this is, but I'm afraid of both of these people. Which is just so funny because now I obviously have the pleasure of being friends with both you and Luca, and you are the kindest, nicest people in the High Rocks community. But I will never forget this just like very intimidating Italian woman with a very intimidating Italian bald headed man just screaming in Italian to finish the wall balls as quickly as possible. And
Yeah,
that is the first time I found out who Camilla Massa was.
yeah, and he's still screaming at me at every race. It's the same in the same way. So yeah.
Yeah. Every race. Yeah. At the last chance qualifier, I actually vividly remember he was videoing for all of the people back home, and you were on lunges, and Luca was, I mean, it's loud in these High Rocks events, but you can hear Luca's voice over just about everybody.
Yeah, he always found a way to be louder than everyone.
Yeah. So let's start there. So I actually think that I think that you're one of the more relatable athletes, probably in the Elite 15 field, definitely in the professional field, just because you actually did not come from. You're obviously an incredibly talented athlete, but you did not come from like a high level competitive background, at least in the years leading up to High Rocks, correct?
Correct. Oh, yeah, totally correct. And not even before. So my story is very simple. I don't have any athletic background. I have three kids, three daughters. And my first one was born when I was 21. And after that, I was just a mom for 10 years. So,
Which
then
also, being a mom is one of the hardest jobs in the world. So when Camila says
true,
just a mom,
true, true.
that is a
How's your
very hard.
how's your baby?
My baby is good. He's been sleeping. I get a knock on wood for the last like 10 days. He's sleeping through the night. Now that could, as parents know, that could literally change any moment, but we're
Amen.
starting to sleep again. So it's good.
Yeah, good for you. So after that, yes, I was a mom, and that's it. I mean, sport wasn't on my priority at all. And then I discovered IROX 1 year after my last one. I actually asked on Instagram if there is some competition, because I wanted to work out for something. So going to the gym, it wasn't something motivating for me. So I wanted like a goal. And Luca, actually, we were just friends at that time, and he told me, there is this new race, HYORX, you should try. You can be good at it. So I tried the first one, and my first race was the race in Dallas, where they had the invitational wave with Lauren Weeks, with all these big names. And I remember that I was there watching these amazing athletes and the fire they had it. And I fell in love. And now I'm here.
Yeah. So you actually debuted with a 73:38.
You know numbers better than me.
I'm sorry?
You know numbers better than me.
I don't know numbers better than you. I'm cheating. I have the website pulled up. I have every race that you've ever done in front of me. I wish I knew the numbers. Jack probably knows the numbers. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the numbers that well. But so Camilla debuted with a 73, then tried her first pro race in Austin of that same year, did a 124, then did LA that same year, dropped to a 74, and then in her fourth race, which was her third pro race, back in Dallas that same year, so we're still talking about the same calendar year, she did a 73:02. So she beat her open time in the pro race in less than a year. And that's back when 2021, was that still when they did 2 25-meter pushes instead of, like, was your first race the 25-meter pushes instead of the 12.5?
I don't remember, but maybe yes, maybe
I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think they made that change till 2022. So those are some tough times. But like I said, I think that is what is so inspiring about you specifically and relatable is, HYORX bills themselves as the fitness race for everybody, and you're living proof that if you're willing to work hard enough, which I think cannot be understated, Camilla might be the hardest worker out there. If you follow her on Instagram, her workouts are insane. If you're willing to put in the time, effort, and energy, like, you can definitely make it. So you started, when did you know? I guess my question for you is, I've heard the story about how you got started, but like, when did you know, or at least have a feeling like, hey, I could be like a top level athlete in this? Because you've been doing it since 2021. So, in HYORX time, like, that's a long time, but you have been competitive for a while. So when did you first know, like, hey, I could actually probably make something of this?
Yeah, when I started, it was just for fun. I could not imagine what I have now, like sponsors or Elite 15 and competing with those amazing athletes. But after 1-2 races, Luca told me, give me 6 months. 6 months of your commitment. Because, at the beginning, HYORX was like part of my training, but when I had time, because I had kids, work, and everything. So Luca was giving me the workout, but I was, skip some or do what I could do. But when he told me, give me 6 months, I was like, okay, let's try, let's see where it can bring us. And then I won the US champion. I know I won. I got 5th, but for me it was like a winning the US championship. And in my mind was like, okay, maybe you can do it. And I'm that kind of person that if I want something, I give my 100%. And if that doesn't go, it's fine. It's okay. But at least I have to try. And so I was in the middle of a life transition, as you know, my divorce and Luca's divorce. It was very tough, a very tough moment. And actually, HYORX and sport gave me the strength and also the distraction to keep going, to push, to, give a reason to sometimes also to wake up and do something and keep going. So I know that sport for some people is just sport, is not the priority, But I think that sport is more than just the competition or just going to the gym. It's something that can help you in your life, also in your mental health. And
Yeah.
for me,
I love that. Actually, I was going to ask you this later, but there's kind of a natural opening there. So I mentioned at the beginning of the show that that you might be one of the most. I don't know if someone wants to argue with me about this online. I'd welcome you to. I don't know that you could convince me that there's anyone more mentally tough than Camilla on the men's side and the women's side. Just two things that come to mind. One, last year in the Elite 15 Chicago race, she fell on lap one, quite literally broke her finger, like a like
pieces.
a like a pretty significant break,
Yeah.
which most people would have just stopped. Camilla didn't stop. She burpee broad jumped with a broken finger. She forward carried with a broken finger, and she wall balled with a broken finger, which is already insane. And actually, in that race, she finished 5th overall with a broken finger. Fast forward to Worlds. I actually didn't know what happened until after the fact. Camila was in the middle of the race, fighting, and then did not have the ending that she wanted. However, the story came out after the fact was Camila actually passed out, was passing out, could barely stand, and then finished all 100 wall balls. And then there was a conversation about whether or not she needed to go to the hospital. So where most people would have given up, Camila fought through. And I love what you said about how, going through, obviously, I don't love that you went through a divorce. I wouldn't wish that for anybody. That's obviously a very tragic thing, but you kind of mentioned that it was something that helped you kind of deal with that. I'm curious, like those things that we mentioned, like those are hard things to go through for like some of the most like hardened athletes out there. People have been doing it forever, but I kind of want to get into like, where does that drive come from, or how did you develop that over time, or has it something that you've always had? Because I think that like, and I'm not advocating for people to compete while hurt. I don't want that to be misconstrued,
Oh,
but
sure.
it is something that matters to you. And you do seem to have this ability that no matter how bad it hurts physically or mentally, you're able to like push on. And I'll be honest, like to relate myself here, like that's something I struggle with. Like when lunges get really, really hard, I don't want to keep pushing. And I could just go to this place mentally where maybe I just want to say, okay, well, it's just not my day. I don't have it. But that's not Camilla. Camilla will push through that. So I guess, where do you think that comes from? And then I'll ask a follow-up to that.
Sure, it's a good question. I wasn't like that at all, actually, Matt, to be honest. HYORX and sport in general taught me to be like, actually, I don't know if the sport taught me that, but I decided to be like that. Because, I remember exactly when I was in Nice and I couldn't see even the target for the wall balls, but I knew that I was, in the middle of that stadium, and there were a lot of people watching me. One of them was my daughter, one of them was my father. And I said, I'm gonna be here. I mean, I don't care if men will arrive here, but I'm gonna finish this, because this is the example I want to be for my daughter, for my father, and for all the people that are watching us. Because HYORX give us the opportunity to be on the Elite 15, and it's like we are there not just to compete, but to set example for other people, to send good messages, to send, to show people what they can do if they want. And I'm, as you said, I'm the real life HYORX fitness for everybody. So yes, I wasn't like that. And when I decided to compete, I decided how I wanted to be in that race, how mentally tough I wanted to be when things are not going how I wanted or I planned. So yeah,
Yeah.
same in Chicago. I was there. I broke the finger. I told Luca when I was running, I told Luca, I broke my finger. And he was like, no, go. It's fine.
I
But
can confirm when Luca tells a story, he says that he thought that she was being a little bit dramatic. He did not think that the finger was actually broken. And it was broken.
it
It
was
required surgery. It was
long.
really broken.
But I thought, okay, I'm here. Let's see what I can do. I mean, until I really can handle the dumbbell, or I can really not go where I want to go, let's do it. Let's try. And I finished. And that 5th place was very worth it, because it gave me the opportunity to compete in all the majors for last season. So why not?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you answered what my follow-up question, which is going to be, which is, or I imagine it comes from a place of not taking it for granted. And I think you even talk about that too, because a lot of people forget, despite the fact that you are probably one of the biggest names in the sport on the women's side, it has not always been easy or gone to plan for you. You actually, I think you just missed out on the Elite 15 the year that it was in Manchester, and where I think, again, this like just speaks to Camilla's mindset, whereas a lot of people would have been like, okay, I'm an Elite 15 athlete, I'm not going to go, to Manchester, because that is time away from family, it is resources to get over there. Camilla went and actually took first overall in the pro women race. And I believe actually there's a pretty cool story that I've heard you tell before about the top 3 finishers from that race.
Yeah, the top 3 finisher that you already know the names, that are me, Maria and Zara, Maria Fecek and Zara Piergianni. And we were there competing they were always behind me. And I was like, oh my God, please stop, run that fast. And when we were on the stage, I told them, hey guys, next season, we will be all of us on the Elite 15. And it was like that. We were all of us in the Elite 15.
And they still are. Zara obviously just did really well in Hong Kong. Maria is going to have a good shot at being in those Elite 15 races in the second half of this year. And obviously Camilla is in the Elite 15 for Vegas, which I think is really cool. I think the other thing that's really cool, so, talking about how, it is the race for everybody, and you do embody that. The other thing that I think is, like, Instagram isn't always reality. Like, if you follow Camilla's Instagram, like, it is a really cool follow, because she works out in some beautiful places between her house in Colorado and Florida. But people may not know, like, Camilla is not a full-time athlete. Camilla has, as she said, has 3 kids, splits her time between Colorado and Florida for her kids and for Luca's kids. And Camilla also has a full-time job. So she is not a full-time athlete in that regard. She is a mother, and she does have her own businesses, I believe. But talk to me a little bit about, that's actually something I don't want to say relate to, because I'm not as good as you at HYORX, but I'm going back to work next week. And I think that's something that a lot of people, especially a lot of parents, they struggle with, of, how do I give everything I have to my partner? Like, you and Luca have a great relationship, to my children, to my businesses, and to my athletics. Like, I would love to just hear from you, your perspective on how do you manage all of that, and what advice would you give to people looking to, try to balance those different areas of life?
Yeah, that's amazing. Not just for parents, but also for everyone, because when you want to commit for something. I mean, I'm like that. Like, if I want to do something, I'm like, okay, from tomorrow I'm gonna do this 100%. But sometimes you cannot, because you have other things to, other responsibilities, like kids, like work, like life. So my journey into became not a full-time athlete, but at least a pro athlete. I had to make space. So I started to working out 3 times a week, 1 hour. And then when Luca told me, okay, give me your commitment, it was like, okay, I can do every day 1 hour. And then, and at that point, if Luca asked me 2 hours, I couldn't, because it was like, it's impossible. And I remember when I told Luca, it's impossible, I cannot make any more space. But then when HYORX became a more higher priority, I made some space for the training. So, and now it's like 3-4 hours sometimes a day. So you have to make space. And I think it's doing it little by little is key. So you cannot say, okay, from tomorrow, I'm going to do 4 hours a day or 2 workouts a day, if you start from nothing, because it's not going to last long. So you have to make space little by little and make and clarify in your mind what's your priority and your goal. Because maybe you don't need to do 2 workouts a day. If you like it, of course, do it. But not everybody has to work out like a pro athlete.
Yeah, I love that. I like the concept of small habits building into bigger habits. I think that's really relatable. That's great. So you arrived on the scene, you were crushing HYORX. You also, you are a world champion. You are a DECA strong world champion as of last year. And, you know, a DECA, I think did you compete in all 3 last year? Did you do fit, mile, and strong?
Yeah, with a broken finger, actually.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because the world championships for DECA are in December, and that's right after you got your that's right after you got your surgery. I forgot about that. Yeah. So going back to another reason why Camilla is the strongest person mentally that we might know in the field. I'm not doing a DECA. Well, I'm not doing a DECA at all because I'm not fast enough, but I'm definitely not doing one with a broken finger. Yeah. So I guess talk to me a little bit about that, because I think what's interesting is we have seen some athletes kind of go back and forth and do both. But it is tough to do both at a high level because they are different. You know, they are different physically. I think it's probably, you would know better than me because you're good at both of them, but it seems as though DECA is more of kind of that like short bursty endurance, more like anaerobic, whereas I think more like a 5K. I mean, it is a 5K DECA fit, but more like that 5K type intensity, whereas HYORX is going to be more like that 10K to that half marathon. So I haven't really asked anyone this yet because I haven't interviewed anyone who's been kind of top at both, but like, how did you balance the training to be ready to compete at a HYORX, but also be able to be competitive at the shorter DECA events?
So I think that if you are an HYORX athlete, you can translate not very easy, but easier than the opposite to DECA. Because if you train, because when you train for HYORX, you don't do just long distances on long workout. You also, I mean, for me, I also do very specific and high intensity workouts where I test my fitness, where I do specific movements. So you can translate very easy. The opposite, I feel like, is not that easy, because you need to, you know, the distance is different, especially if you do mile or strong. The distance is different, even also for DECA fit. You can translate very good from HYORX to DECA with 2-3 weeks of very specific movements of DECA, but the opposite, I feel like, not the same.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. So this year, I assume, and kind of going forward, are you going to primarily focus on HYORX?
Yes, I did DECA, and you know, I'm very honest with you. DECA fit, I think DECA fit has a great potential. I love the setup. I think it's even more. I don't know the word in English, but a lot of people can do it compared to HYORX. You know, HYORX, you need to be a little bit, at least, prepared to do that kind of race. But everyone can do a DECA fit, a DECA mile, or DECA strong.
Yeah, more accessible.
Right, accessible. That's the word that I was looking for. So it's more accessible, and that's amazing because I know Yancy personally. I love him. I know his mission, and is amazing. This is amazing. But with the professional athletes that invest their time and their money to compete in DECA, last season they weren't so kind and respectful. I think you know that a lot of things were said on Instagram. I don't wanna say anything about that because we already know. But I think it has a great potential. They just need to, have a better organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think for people like you and Luca, who I had to take a quick step back. So the reason why I feel like why I have a friendship with Camilla and Luca is because I did participate in their camp at their house. They have a beautiful home about 45 minutes outside of Denver with an awesome setup, an awesome gym. But one thing that became very apparent when hanging out with them for 3 days is Camilla and Luca very much are just as much about the community as they are about themselves. And so, I definitely think that what HYORX is building with the community at large and just kind of the visibility around that, it definitely plays to who you are as people, not just your physical abilities and attributes. So that definitely makes sense. Talk to us a little bit about have been involved in helping. One thing that you obviously take a lot of pride in is you are Italian. You do train out of the States, but you've been in the States for what, about 10, 15 years? Is that right?
2016. So almost.
Oh, not even 10 years. Okay.
No.
So about 8 years. So you've been in the States about 8 years. But you are still very involved in HYORX Italy, correct?
Yes, correct.
Do you, I should have asked you this already. Do you run the HYORX Italy account?
No.
No. Oh, I thought that you did. But you all do travel over there to race, and you are the captain of Team Italy. So I guess the logical next question is, you may not know because they may not have asked yet, but will you be the captain again this year?
I don't know. If they ask me, of course. It's a privilege, it's an honor to be the captain of Italy.
What was that experience like? I think we've heard from some of the other teams, but I haven't heard you talk about it yet necessarily. Obviously an immense amount of pride, but you all did really well. How was that race for you?
Amazing. I mean, I was in Nisa when I realized that I had to race again after my single. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can do anything. But when I was there and I was in the race, it was like, okay, I don't feel anything. Okay, let's go. Let's try. Also because I really think that the Italian team is a great team. So we can adjust something, but we can be very competitive for this year. So it was amazing.
I think that's part of the reason why I didn't realize how badly you were hurt on Friday night, because when, to your point, you all took 4th in the elite relay.
Yeah.
With a blazing time of 52:30, and you specifically looked very strong while running and stationing. So I just assumed that like you had cramped up or something on Friday. I had no idea that it was as bad as it was, because there you were again, mental toughness. There you are 48 hours later, just lighting the world on fire, competing in that relay.
Totally. That was completely mental strength, because I knew that they couldn't, change me because there were nobody there to change my position. So I had to race. They were counting on me, and all of my teammates were in Nice just for that race. So, I couldn't do anything else but what I did.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you think? I guess I'd be just curious now that we're talking about it. Like the relay is a little, well, it's not a little bit different. It's a lot different because just because you necessarily have the 4 best people or the 3 best people, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good in a relay, because at the end of the day, like, everybody has to do equal amount of work. You can only do 2 runs. So even if you're a really fast runner, you know, you can't necessarily make up the time there, and you don't have control of the stations. So I guess when you're thinking about putting together a team for next year, what are the things that you're thinking about in terms of how you would organize that, or put that team together?
So I know my stations, and I think I'm good there.
What are your stations?
Pool. I mean, you don't know my pool in the relay. You should see the time.
You did the pull in Nice, right?
And I entered with
Okay, so
Alex
for
Roncevic, and I was out before Roncevic.
yeah, so for the listeners at home, Team Italy only had 1 station where they were in the, now granted they did finish 4th, which means that they ran incredibly fast, but they only had 1 station where they were in the top 5. That station was the sled pull, and they were number 1 in it, and Camilla pulled that thing in 3:09, which is fast. And for those of us that were in Nice, we also know those sleds did not move. They were not moving well. They were not light sleds. Those things were like stuck in quicksand, and Camilla absolutely bodied that sled pull.
I was on a mission.
So your stations are sled pull, and what's the other one?
Wall balls.
Wall balls. Okay. The other station that that Team Italy did well in, so literally 48 hours after almost blacking out on wall balls, Camilla wall balled in a very impressive 3:19. That is also very fast. So incredibly strong station. So you've got your stations covered. So how do you think about putting together the rest of the team?
Okay, so I prefer to have because when I started to make the team last year, I was asking also Elisa Fuliano. I don't know if you know this name, but she's a very good CrossFitter. She's a CrossFit athlete.
Is that who you did doubles with in Italy a few months ago?
Yes. But after that experience in Milano, I realized that is way better to have someone with experience in HYORX rather than someone very specific in something. Like Elisa is very strong. Maybe she can do the sled super fast. But, an HYORX athlete knows how to manage the run and the station. And it's different. It's way different. So I'm gonna choose people. Of course, Eugenio is a very strong athlete, and I think he's gonna be in the team for sure. I hope so. And also Giuseppe and Alessia did an amazing work also because Alessia is the only one that is not a pro athlete maybe at that time. Now she's doing a lot more, but she had the courage to put herself in a field of beast. So kudos for her. But for next year, if I'm gonna be the captain, I'm gonna test athletes because there's a lot of new athletes in Italy, and that's why HYORX is growing so fast in Italy. We had 8,000 people in Milan, and it was amazing. So a lot of new athletes are coming, and I'm gonna test them.
Yeah, well, I think it was Hybrid Fitness Media, I think, made a post earlier this year that one, I think it was Milan, quadrupled year over year, and just in terms of athletes. So, I mean, we're seeing that all across the board, but Italy is now getting quite a few races every single year, and they are just growing and growing and growing, which has been awesome to see.
Yeah. First one in Rimini was 800 people. And after less than 1 year, or maybe a little more than 1 year, 8,000. So it's like,
yeah, it's getting it's getting out of hand. Having just done Chicago, which was the single biggest North American one-day event, and then got beat this past weekend in Dallas. I've now raced Chicago 3 times, 4 times, and how many people are there now compared to what it was a couple years ago. I mean, takes forever just to get across the crosswalk. I mean, the growth is incredible. That's awesome. So, you said that you were pretty open recently on Instagram after you decided not to go to Hong Kong. Many people would have thought, because if there's one thing about Camilla, she loves to race. She is notorious for racing. And then if she doesn't have the race that she wants, it's not surprising to see the next morning she'll sign up and she'll go run again and maybe run again. So Camilla loves racing. So I think it was a surprise to people to see that you were not going to Hong Kong. You were very open about some of the health issues that you've been dealing with and haven't exactly been fully healthy. How are you feeling now? And will we be seeing you at the next major, which I believe should be Las Vegas?
Yeah, so the past few months were a little bit tough. I had some issues with my back and my gut, and I'm still finding out what's going on. So it's a long process. I'm feeling better. I have like a super strict diet, so I don't eat any sugar or something like that. So I'm pretty fine for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. I'm not gonna get any pound. So I'm fine for Las Vegas.
Camilla and Luca are also incredible cooks. Can confirm. Had some of it's just chicken, but had some of the best chicken I've ever had in my life at camp. And we had so much chicken that they were handing out chicken as snacks the rest of the weekend.
Right. So we love to eat actually, but and these few months I can eat just few stuff to control everything, to control the symptoms. But my run is back little by little, and I try to do Amsterdam, even if, as I wrote in my post on Instagram, even if I couldn't even finish any simulation before. But I tried. The level now in the Elite 15 is super high, and this is amazing for the sport. So if you miss something, every percentage of your preparation is very fundamental. So if you lose something, like if you lose your nutrition, you lose your energy, or you lose 2-3 weeks of training, you're gonna pay for it at this level. So I decided to try, but I mean, I wasn't. You saw the race. I was super fit, super good until burpees, and then I started to lose energy. Not little by little, but I started to lose energy at all. So I finished the race anyway. But at the end of the race, I told Luca, I need to fix this or I'm not having fun. So the reason why I usually do another race the next day is because when I race it, I don't feel that fun. I don't enjoy the race. I wanna, like in Italy, we say when you go down from the horse, you need to go back again immediately to, fight the pain, the fear. And it's the same for me with HYORX. If I have fun, good, even if I'm the last one. But if I'm not having fun, I need to do it again and feel the same the same thing. So I'm gonna be ready for Anaheim. So next weekend
you're gonna race Anaheim.
I'm gonna be in Anaheim, and
That's
this
right.
is just a test. I wanna see where I'm at, and next one it's gonna be Las Vegas.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I can't wait. I am also racing Vegas, and I know Luca is as well. So hopefully we're in the same heat so we can cheer each other on and push each other. But excited to watch you get back on the course in Anaheim. Will Luca be live streaming?
He said yes. So
yes.
Let's see.
That's awesome. And then obviously super excited to see what you do in Vegas. Like I said, I mean this sincerely. You're one of my favorite people in the sport, not just favorite athletes. So it's always awesome to watch you compete and get to see you and Luca out there doing what you love. Want to give you an opportunity before we wrap this up. You do have various sponsors and partnerships. You can see one on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. I think, Camilla, you are the only Reebok athlete in the HYORX world. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. So when you see Reebok, you think about me. And I'm proud of it, actually, because I mean, Puma is a great brand.
The shoes are sweet. They look cool.
Yeah, they are working on it, and they are very open to, have my feedback and see what they can do to have the best shoes for HYROX. They are working on it because the one that they have now are good, but not that light. I think they need to be to have it the same model but lighter. So they're gonna do it for me and for everybody. So yeah, it's a great team. Reebok is a great team, and every sponsor, every collaboration I do is with someone that I really trust and I really like. It's like ESN. Maybe you try their supplement or not, because they're not in US yet.
I
But
have gotten to try them because of you and Rich and Ryan and Meg. I currently, I ask Meg at least once a week if she can hook me up, and she says that she can for not so small of a fee. So if I'm willing to buy in bulk, they're willing to help me out. But just for those that are listening and getting their hopes up, it's a pretty big bulk order. So I don't think I think we need to wait till they get into the US first.
yeah, no, it's an amazing, not just amazing products, but also an amazing brand and business and people. So yeah, I love them. I love the people around the brands that I work with.
Yeah, awesome. So if you're in the Europe, or if you're in the Europe, if you're in the European Union, listening to Camilla, one of your very own, buy Reebok, buy ESN.
Yes.
There's some pretty good Black Week specials going on for ESN right now. So make sure you support those partners. Camilla, thank you so much for joining today's show. Really appreciate it. Like I said, excited to see you out there next week, and excited to see you in person and see you race in Vegas.
Same for me, Matt. Thank you so much for having me and give me the opportunity to share some thoughts.
Of course. Have a great day.
Bye.